Hey guys, welcome to the most unprepared drifting video podcast in the history of drifting video podcast. We only have one microphone today, so bear with us. And I'm your host, Travis.
And I'm Ben. As we have to move the microphone, as we have one, because we don't have spare audio cables. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're about to get real.
Yeah, so this is going to be a bit of a close to each other episode. But today we are talking JUN Auto.
Unfortunately, the passing of Junichi. Yeah. Unfortunately, the passing of Junichi, who had passed recently in early March due to cancer. Unfortunately,
70 years old.
But yeah, let's start off with some news.
Yeah, started off. So everyone knows Daigo Saito revealed his new Toyota BMW Supra with a 2J. Unsurprisingly, it did surprisingly catch fire, but and the internet reacted wildly because it's probably the first Supra to catch fire of the new Supras too. So he did a lot of firsts. But yeah, do you have anything more to say about that one?
No, it'll just be interesting. I'm keen to see how the new motor stacks up to the traditional 2J swap, because a company in Europe just made 700 wheel horsepower with literally a turbo upgraded injectors
On a factory
motor. So I'm keen to see how the horsepower race goes now with the, I guess, like what BMW class is their 2J for the Supra. So I mean, it'll be cool.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. Hopefully they've just got themselves a lot more organized than we do.
Bring the Bash coming up very, very soon. I have to check dates again because I can't remember, but I've got a few friends getting ready for that, and that'll be super cool. So make your way down to the Facebook page at Curse Sundays and go and check out their stuff. They also drop some t-shirts and everything, so go check that out. Really cool page, heaps of entertaining content. There was another thing I had written down.
Yeah, sorry we weren't super prepared after XSplit dying on us, and as well, then our audio cable died on us. So we don't have backups, unfortunately. We thought we did, but we don't. So we've got to organise that. But we'll do our best. If you got no news, we'll just move on.
Yeah, I can't.
So, well, let's start with about JUN. I have quite a bit of information here about them. So it was the afternoon of March 5th, 2019, that Junichi Tanaka, who is the chairman of Tanaka Industrial Co., which is the original company, passed away with cancer, and he was 76 years old. Yeah, I guess it's an okay age. I guess it's he lived a decent life at 76, but it still feels young. You know?
It's a horrible way to go, especially, you know, considering he probably still felt full of life and ready to, you know, accomplish more things, even though he has such an accomplished filled record, I guess you could say, with, you know, holding various records at various tracks, which we'll get into in a little bit, but also building the company up from essentially motorbike engines, like two-stroke motorbike engines. Yeah, it was, you know, building it up to what it is today is one of probably the most reputable tuning companies in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, basically, like Ben mentioned it, yeah, he was still involved in the company, and he was, like, I watched quite a few videos and of Japanese and of Westerners going to visit JUN. They are in Nerima Ward, Tokyo. And he was there. You know, he would come out and greet them and talk to them. I don't know if he could speak much English, but he, in the short snippets that I saw of them talking to him, he definitely understood a little bit. So, yeah, he was a pretty cool dude, especially, you know, just being able to be still involved with a company of that size.
Age, you know, staying involved is really good to see, really cool to see. And who doesn't love a badass granddad that likes to mess around on fast cars? Come on, that's awesome.
Alright, so just a little bit of background about JUN. I've pulled this blurb pretty much off their Japanese page. And it's all translated, so do excuse if there is slight grammar incorrections. Google Translate's pretty good though. So today, with the rapid development of various technologies, the potential in applied technology has expanded dramatically. However, both engineers and users are always looking for more advanced and more complete products. Can we say that that is the meaning of our existence, which is obviously pulled off Jun's page. I've cut out snippets of it. The company's philosophy is to continue researching, developing, designing, manufacturing, processing, and selling high-quality parts with the emphasis on maximizing the potential of internal combustion engines. To that end, we will actively introduce high-precision machines and cutting-edge technology and knowledge to meet the demands of the times and practice leading the times themselves, which I have done for a long, long time. With originality and technology unique to our company, sometimes there's a good partner of the manufacturer, and by manufacturer they do mean Nissan, Mitsubishi, Toyota, etc. And sometimes there's an advisor to which the user can rely, who will repeat the challenge towards further expansion in the field of internal combustion engines. They do trade as Tanaka Kogyo Co. And yeah, as I said, they're in Narimaku, Tokyo. So you can just go and visit them. Probably call ahead though. Like get a Japanese friend to call them. Make sure it's okay, because it's not going to be okay every day. That part of it founded in March of 1982 was the JUN Auto was formed, but we'll get onto that later. And they only, like a company this size, they only employ 28 people. So, did you have anything to say with that? No. So they do have a list of their main customers as well. A lot of them aren't really applied to anything to do with drifting, but some of them are. I'll name the ones that do that you will recognize. I don't know what Wiz Corporation is. That may be one, but HPI Inc., Ebisu Circuit, Ortec, which is the company that designs the fast Nissans. Limited company Auto Service Mori. I'm pretty sure that that's just like a car, like a auto back service agent essentially type place. Kamiari Engine Works.
They're the guys that build the Hakuskas and the Kenmarys. Hey, they do the L series motors for them.
Would be.
Yeah,
it would be because they did start doing those on those sorts of motors. Club RH9 Inc. I'm not sure about that one. Tanabe Corporation, Tomei Powered, Top Secret, Trust Corporation, Nissan Kokiko, Nissan Motor Co., Nissan Motorsports International Limited, Nippon Piston Ring Co., Hitachi Automotive Systems, Hino Motors, Fuji Heavy Industries, Blitz Corporation, Honda Twin Cam, Marka Service Co., Mitsuoka Automobile Co., Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Lynx Japan. I don't think that's going to be the different type of Lynx. Rays Incorporated and Yanase Inc. And they're just some of their main corporations. Like they would still do a lot of others, but that is just some of them. And that's a lot of big names. Like they do the stuff for Nismo. So whatever big horsepower motors that you see that are running like Nismo race cars, those motors were probably developed and machined at JUN, which is just crazy to think, like, yeah. So did you have anything to add to that one?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I have a bit of a history thing that I again pulled off their website. It's kind of just in order. So they started in 1946 as an internal parts processing industry at Sekamachi Processing Plant. In 1951, they changed organization to Tanaka Kogyo Limited and started manufacturing confectionery machines and engineering instruments. Those are two very different things.
Hey guys, I know we're making confectionery machines, but hey, why don't we just do engineering tools at the same time? Yeah.
Crazy. That was in 1955 that they were doing that. By confectionery machines, that was probably more machinery that makes confectionery as well. So, like production line machines.
But even then, you see the background and history starting with engineering there, back in the 50s, which is
in 1955, they began designing and manufacturing two-cycle engines, so two-stroke engines for motorcycles and as well body parts for motorcycles. This is only 4 years after doing confectionery machines. 1960 began designing and manufacturing automotive four-stroke engines and body parts in 1960s. 1970 participated in the development of road cutting machines, so that would be like when they're laying tarmac roads. 1980 starts production of race cars by establishing the auto mechanics section. 1982 succeeded in developing an L-type 3.5 liter engine to participate in a drag race. And that was a successful engine as well.
You have the L series motor, which was paired with a twin turbo kit and a 3.4 liter stroke kit that they came up with themselves. So they put in an S30. It was capable of a 13-second 400 meter dash. It was capable of over 500 horsepower in 1985. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy that they were doing that kind of power in 1985. Like 13 seconds doesn't sound that fast, but then that would have been fast.
What would have been 30? Like,
yeah, they wouldn't have been much faster in Japan at that time. So then in 1985, they established automotive metal coating plant as JUN Auto Works. In 1990 August, they attended the US Salt Lake Bonneville Speed Trial participation. In 1991, they established a tuning and maintenance plant as JUN Auto Mechanic Co. So another change. In August of 1991, they went back to the Bonneville Speed Trials. Yes.
So in 1991, they went to the Bonneville Speed Trial with in their words, the ultimate VG30 DETT on board, which achieved 400 kilometers in their E/BMS class, which we shunned the record with a 419 kilometer record a year after, or 2 years after. Well, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I wish I could show you the proper photo. That's
I don't know how well that'll focus, but you get the idea.
As a basically just head with a
just Z32.
Yeah, with a fancy front end on it, and a lot of energy.
Yeah, so that motor actually made over 1,000 horsepower back in 1991 and 419 kilometers an hour. That record was not beaten until in the 2000s. I think it was 2003. Something like 13 years later before it was beaten. It was beaten by an American company that I can't remember the name of. And they only just beat it. Like, and that's it. And it hasn't been beaten again since. So there were other runs that were done. And they just, between that 2003 period and the 1991, multiple other people had tried. And they were 2/3 the speed of what that Z32 did, which is crazy to think. So this little old company from Japan has chucked a Z32 that would have been fresh new chassis, and sends it to America and just dominates. So that's a big thing about JUN, is they dominated everything that they touched. They dominated drag racing. They build, touching on Ebisu, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but they build the motors for Team Orange. So what's in the Subaru, the orange Team Orange Subaru, that is a JUN built motor. So.
today, how many years ago was that Subaru in competition? Like would have been '05. That car was in its prime, between '05 to '09.
I could be wrong here, but I'm starting to didn't research this. Like just going off by memory, but the Italian driver in Formula Drift America, Fred, I forget his name. Someone else will know. The Italian driver who has the Ferrari in Formula Drift, he works really close with Team Orange, and they gifted him that car. I'm pretty sure that's his car. Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure it's come back to Italy now. So, bit of trivia on that one. But 1992 established a Miyagi plant. I don't know if that's meant to be Miyagi or Miyagi, as an engine parts production plant. In 1993, they had in 1992, they had a technical tie-up with UK Cosworth. Now, I don't know what that means.
I've read about.
I'll let Ben.
They, in conjunction with Cosworth, coming up with forged rod and other. Just in general, I think.
Continue while you look that up. Participated in the Dart Top Speed trial at El Mirage Dry Lake in 1993. In 1995, they attended the All Japan GT Championship. They did the same in 1996. Also in 1996, they established JUN Auto Mechanic Thailand. So, yeah. And then in 1997, they established JUN Auto USA. So, I don't know if either of those are still around. I'm pretty sure the Thailand division is, though. I'm not sure about USA. And then again in 1997, they went back for the Salt Lake Bonneville Speed Trial. In September of 1997, they made the JUN Auto website. I was only 7 years old then. That's pretty damn good. That's ahead of their time. This is really bad Google Translate translation. They participated in the US drug race in Sylvia. Drag race. I don't know why, but the A and U's must be the same with Japan. That was in 1998. In January, they also went into Tokyo Auto Salon 1998, and that must have been probably maybe the year that Tokyo Auto Salon really kicked off and started, because they went back every year after that. In 99, they went into a front-wheel drive drag race in a Civic in the US. In 99, they went to Tokyo Auto Salon again, and they also exhibited at US SEMA Show. In year 2000, they participated in magazine planning New Zealand public road highest speed event. So I would be interested to know.
Yeah, I want to know if that was like
what they did there.
sanctioned.
And in the year 2000, they also exhibited at Singapore Auto Salon. Then they went back to SEMA, Tokyo Auto Salon. In 2001, they also went to Hockenheim Link, Germany Sport Auto for the Yokohama Tuner Grand Prix participation. Almost said prick. Felt like I was 12 again. Back again at the US Salt Lake Bonneville Speed Trial. 2003 Tokyo Auto Salon. And then they did go to the in 2003. They also went to the Korean Auto Salon in Busan as well. So yeah. And they went back to America for Silver State Classic. Must be another race. They went back there in 2004. Pretty much after that, it's a lot of just Tokyo Auto Salon and Osaka Auto Mess right the way through.
Yeah.
I think they've cut down on at least what they're putting in information, because since that time, they also have made the JUN R35 GDR. They have made the JUN GT86. You can speak.
Yeah, well, talking about going back to like 1995, they built a Sylvia to get in the sub 10-second class in a street spec car, and they didn't give an exact time, but they reckon that this started their reputation and the boom for drag racing Sylvias in 1995. Sylvia looked hectic, and they made a lot of.
So, back to a bit more about Jun. Most of their machines that they use are in-house. They don't really subby out much of their stuff. So yeah, they just pretty much do most of it in-house. It's a bit hard to go through all this because there's a lot of information. Yeah. Yeah. So it's also like that they've been passing down I'll read how it says exactly. The accumulation of technology and experience that has been nurtured by skilled artisans and has been passed down for over 70 years since its foundation is the property of our company, and there are areas that cannot be represented in figures. Jun's cutting-edge processing technology and high-quality parts are produced from the machine tools that these craftsmen and craftswomen operate like limbs, and new craftsmen are nurtured by daily training. Yeah, so they have also a full list of all of the machines that they have with photos of them at Jun. I'll read out the basic main mechanical equipment list. Horizontal machining center, vertical 4-axis machining center, another horizontal machining center, a vertical machining center, NC cylindrical grinder, multiple CNC lathe, multiple vertical CNC lathe, a crank mirror, horizontal machining center, again, CNC camshaft polishing machine, a gun drill machine, I'm guessing that's like a lathe drill machine, valve seat cutter, a boring machine, and a honing machine. That's like, and a lot of those were multiple, and just to picture that somewhere in Tokyo just sitting there is
the one thing is that that's a lot of decently sized machinery to fit into a Japanese workshop that is in Tokyo. Yes. You said that was in America, I'd believe that, but like that is a lot of floor space for Japan. Like a lot.
So just a few of the things that they make high lift camshafts for over 40 years, billet crankshafts, cross section connecting H-beam and I-beam connecting rods, so conrods, forged aluminium, forged pistons, developed in partnership with UK Cosworth. There you go. So all of your Cosworth pistons are actually just made by Jun. And I'll read a bit more about them. Aiming for performance improvement. The engine consists of dozens of parts with various functions, and the parts with important roles are constantly evolving. However, mass-produced parts by automobile manufacturers are limited in shape, material, and accuracy. The limit points of parts will be determined naturally. In other words, there is a limit of the performance of the engine itself. Shouldn't focus on saying that there are free ideas. It is designed and developed with the mind in mind that it brings out the possibility of being difficult to obtain in mass production, and it can promise the infinite spread and possibility beyond mass production. So basically, they have way tighter tolerances than what your straight run-of-the-mill cars would run, but you would expect that.
I think they're trying to imply that their general quality and, what would you call it? Tolerances are higher than a lot of other aftermarket companies as well in that. And you do see that in some of the cars that they've built. It's just been so ridiculous. Like, look at that Z, 1,000 horsepower, 1991. That's a feat.
the 500 horsepower S30 back in 1985. Like, there's a 3.4
Like I
liter.
said, that's what, like, 6 years. In 6 years, they've developed another 500 horsepower in a car that they just shipped over to America.
Another interesting fact about that Z32 is it actually went up for sale about 2 years ago. It was covered all on Car Throttle and some other pages, and in that form, it was actually street registered when it went up for sale, and it went through the auctions. I couldn't find what it actually sold for, but it was 1,200 horsepower with a dog box, basically, and street registered, and it looked exactly like it did when it ran the salt flats, except with no stickers, except for a JUN sticker. That's wild, and it was like immaculate. Whoever bought that, like, I want to drive it. I just want to drive it. Another part that a bit more about them that they say is they're a company that is trust first. The parts we build are invisible. Products that do not appear on the table when assembled into an internal combustion engine. Therefore, it can be said that strength, accuracy, and quality are most important product. It's very important to make high-performance parts by questioning, pursuing, and finding the essence of each part of an internal combustion engine. JUN thinks that it is the most important not to make a compromise in the JUN, and produces it and converts it into a track record in the racing world and earns solid trust from the world rather than building parts that are compromised because of giving priority to productivity. So they don't care how many parts they make so long as their parts are good, in other words. And they're right, you know, engine parts, internal engine parts are invisible. You know, it's a lot of money to put down on something that doesn't look good, you know, or does look good. I mean, a billet crank looks pretty damn good, but it's getting hot in here. Oh, I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, that, like, it all, their whole business is put down to trust and that they are reliable. So, and that's what they've been doing for over 70 years, you know. So, the last bit of blurb that I have is, since the post-war years, we have been involved in many internal combustion engines, regardless of two-wheel and four wheels, and has a trying to auto-translate this in my head, and has a unique know-how and abundant database created from years of experience and the spirit of challenge as an engineer in engines. It keeps being utilized. It is our pride to meet the needs of our customers with the latest machines, making use of advanced technology, and it is the next step. We deal with production of parts from design, drawings, design and production of special parts and processing, and will create not only engine parts, but also customers' necessary things. So if you walk in there and be like, I want a confectionery machine, like, damn, you're like 50 years too late, pal. But yeah.
No, just straight up, those guys are insane. Like, you know, being able to just walk in there and go, like, I want 1,000 horsepower. And that's what I was reading somewhere. They pride themselves on being able to say, hey, we can take your street car and make it a 4-digit, like, monster. Which is, that's pretty damn cool. I mean, you know.
I couldn't do that.
No. I have no words.
Yeah.
What a slogan. Like, come to JUN Auto. Do you want 1,000 horsepower? Sure.
Deep pockets. We'll give you 1,000 horsepower. But that's the other thing is like, they say on their website that they only build motors, but they do body parts as well, and they build cars from ground up. They build full race cars. Like, they're not just like building the motives for these race cars. They build the whole car as well. So it's full custom, full sick custom. I have some other information that I was able to dig up of how much to actually pay people. Thanks, Japan, for just forcing companies to put this shit on their website. But so if you're a specialty / graduate school of junior college, so I don't know, like TAFE graduate if you're in Australia, you will get 196,560 yen per month, probably minus tax. Well, you take off 2 zeros, that's about 2,000 US a month.
And this is why we all have different jobs.
This is why we don't work in Japan. But 2,000 US, that's like close to that's probably like 2,700 Australian a month. That's pretty standard what a normal mechanic probably gets.
Yeah, that sounds about like, especially like at least a second year mechanic get here.
That's like you can already do this shit.
Yeah, but that's
if you got a university degree, you're on about 2,300 US dollars a month. So, but I don't know what Japan's tax rate is. They could be paying a lot less tax than us. They probably don't. They probably pay a lot more, but they could. And also, the cost of living is a lot lower, especially considering that area that they would be in would be outskirts Tokyo. It wouldn't be that expensive. You work from 9 a.m. to 5:45 p.m., 7.5 hours in service. They must have a midday siesta. It's fucking like an hour and 45 minutes long. But that's pretty odd hours for Japan too, because normally you would start at like 10:30 and finish at like 7 or 8 p.m. So that's pretty interesting. You get paid vacation days. In your first year, you get 10 days. And after that, you get a maximum of 20 days. It says annual vacation days is 100 days. I don't know what that means. Special leave day, you get one in summer on the 4th and one in winter on the 6th. That's it. And I do want to say that as well, it also says here, this is an exact reading, there is no recruitment system for foreign students and disabled people. So, sorry, Ben. You don't. I don't know which category you fit in, but you probably fit in both. I will say what that job was for, though. So, the title of that job was you are designing internal combustion engine functional parts and electrical circuit design, body design, and suspension design. You'll also be machining parts for trial processing, machining centers, NC lathe, and NC cam polisher, etc., as well as sales to the customer. You do a bit of everything. I don't know if that was 3 separate jobs that all get paid the same. But there's also, if you're a mechanic, you are getting paid the exact same amount as well to work in the JUN Auto mechanic division. So that means you're going to be engine disassembly, maintenance, tuning, car plating, I don't know what that is, and painting, frame correction, exterior parts production, etc.
They do like crap.
Yes. Yeah, it's a full panel shop and mechanic shop. But places used to do that in Australia too. There used to be more than just a mechanic shop. Like, if you went to Toyota back 20 years ago, you would be able to get panel beating done, painting done, mechanic work done, and buy parts all at the one place. So that's pretty standard, or at least it used to be in Australia. The work location of the JUN Auto, it says, is in Saitama Iruma factory. And the other one was in the Nerima head office factory in Saitama. So Nerima must be in Saitama, not really Tokyo. I don't know why they said Tokyo before. I have found a website that does some old snippets of old option magazines. I'm going to go and try and translate them correctly, and I'll upload them probably over the weekend to the Facebook page if you want to check that out. It's really worth a read. I'm going to try and find more of them. I really want to push preserving the history of, especially of these Japanese companies, because they may be getting preserved in Japan, but we have no idea nor any access to it this time. So,
Yeah. Not unless you can speak Japanese and be able to actually fluently search it on like a Yahoo or whatever they as their default search and stuff. It just doesn't pop up with Google.
So, I did find an Option magazine snippet from the January 1986 issue, and that is where we found out about the 500 horsepower S30 3.4 liter twin turbo. So it's from the January 1986 issue of Option. And it was like a secret development machine is what they are calling it. I do have the Option original magazine cover, which is damn cool. I don't know how well people can see it, but there's like a tiger in there. Maybe if I tilt it down, might be better. Yeah, it's a little bit blurry, but you get it. Like that's rad. All hand drawn. The cars are photo overlaid though, but that's rad. Like I wish magazines look like that these days. In this race, it was a drag race. There was, I'll just name 3 of the cars that were in it. So Sarko Racing, SAKO, they built an RX-7 13B twin turbo. This is yeah. It did 12 seconds at 12,000 RPM in 1985. That's pretty damn awesome. So it would have been in the 500 horsepower mark too, to be probably closer to the 600. Also, Trust Corporation was there, another massive company that I'd love to do an episode on. They brought a 2-door Z10 Sora. Yeah, Z10. So, and it was running a 5MG. Doesn't even say E, so I don't think it was. I think it was still carbureted. Twin turbo modified that ran 13 seconds at 309 kilometers an hour with 585 horsepower in 1985 from a 5M.
It did like blow up as it went over the line.
Like, yeah, this is crazy. And no, they didn't, because they would have wrote it down because Jun did. It was the propeller shaft, so the drive shaft blew out in the Jun S30, and they weren't able to. They completed a time of 13 seconds, but on the second run, as they took off from the line, it blew the drive shaft. So, and it was running a 3.4 liter twin turbo over 500 horsepower. Probably don't really know the correct power, like exact rating of it, because dynos probably didn't overly exist back then for a car, you know? So it says that the body of the Jun S30Z is, the frame is all piped. So that means that this was a tube chassis car. The cowl is all FRP because the engine is a powerful 3.4 liter twin turbo for drag. All the body has been reworked. The engine uses the original 90mm stroke crankshaft with a bore stroke of 89 by 90mm. The head is also modified in the port and combustion chamber, and the original camshaft with a working degree angle so they've reground an original camshaft to 296 degrees on a twin turbo. That's a monster camshaft. And the inlet valves were 46 millimeters and the exhaust valves were 38.5 millimeters. But it only had a compression ratio of 8.2. You got to remember, fuel wasn't as good back then. You know, you couldn't push that compression ratio up. So the turbo on it was a KKK K26 twin turbo. The impeller housing is 26G type. Exhaust housing uses number 10. I don't know what that is. The carburation is OER 50 mil diameter, maybe, with the original chamber. 6 additional injectors with 180cc per minute capacity are added. So they put 6 injectors into a carby.
I have no words right now. How did they make that work? I just want to know what was going on in their heads when they came up with that.
Yeah, so this is 85, so the most basic of injection. It would have just been like, just here's a switch, just boom, dump fuel. Like, it would have been something nuts like that.
Constant spraying.
Yeah.
Hey,
so
if it runs rich, it can't lean out.
In 1985, like, we had already had the A86 that was running fuel injected setup. So it's not like fuel injectors didn't exist.
No, but it wasn't well refined, because as well as you having the 4AGE, which was quite an advanced fuel injection system of the time, at the same time you've got the Starion, which just had an absolutely hopeless fuel injection system. Which is basically, hey, we're just going to throw it in the intake like a carby and hope for the best.
Yep. And this is also on an S30Z, from the 70s. So that's still running a carburetor and injectors. That just blows my mind. So, but I mean, 6 times 180 is what, almost 1,000 or 1,200 cc, something like that. But that's what people run with E85 for one cylinder.
Oh yeah.
So, like, to making over 500 horsepower with that kind of setup is just nuts. Yeah. So the intercooler is air-cooled original, and the oil cooler is changed from wet sump to a dry sump. So they ran also a dry sump setup on this S30Z 3.4 liter JUN stroker. The power band is between 4,000 and 8,000 RPM, and the rev limit is 8,000 RPM. The maximum boost pressure is 1.5 kilograms per centimeter squared. I don't know what that is in PSI. The maximum output of 500 horsepower or more. So there was some other pages I didn't have time to get them, but that at least covers the JUN side of that event, and that gives you a real eye into 1985 high-end Japanese drag racing, Yeah. So I don't know what 1.5 kilograms per centimeter squared is, but I'll find it out later. But yeah, so yeah, what words do you have on JUN? Do you have anything to say, like any comments?
No, it's just I wish that it was a little bit more prominent, I guess, in our part of the world. I mean, they made such a big impact in America and Japan, but we never really got a whole lot of it in Australia. But we do, like, you do see parts of it here, but it wasn't a big presence. And a lot of their demo cars were super cool, and we would have loved to have them do like an event like World Drive Attack here or something, or compete in the Touring Car Championship.
They did. They were at World Time Attack 2018.
No, I mean,
yeah,
like
yeah.
First.
Who drove their car? Can you look up JUN World Time Attack 2018? It was a pretty famous driver who drove their car. I just think it's crazy that this little shop of even 28 people now, back in 1985, it was probably half that, are able to just put out these crazy cars all over the world. They're partnered with Cosworth. They're... Yeah.
2018, Tarzan Yamada drove the... Was it? 370. Yeah, that's pretty cool, hey? Like, yeah, that's just ridiculous. If someone started doing 2-stroke motorcycle engines and bike parts, and even before that, building confectionery machines and doing, like, little engineering tools came into be one of the most, like, revered tuning shops, I guess. Like, holding the speed record of Bonneville for over 13. Who's done that? Like, who's done that?
And not only that, just being able to even be a Japanese company that does compete in American drag racing. Like, Americans would have flipped out. Can you imagine being in 1991? These little Japanese dudes rock up, don't speak much English. They drop this weird car out of a container that's painted bright red, and then it just absolutely dominates you and crushes whatever. They pretty much doubled what everyone else was getting in speed. Like, can you imagine being an American then? You'd be like, get out of my country! They took our jobs! like seriously, yeah, build the wall! Like, this is probably where all the hate started, you know? So, like...
Well, thanks to Mexico, Japan and drag racing.
Yeah, thanks, Jun. But, now we got Trump. Anyway, we won't get political. But, you know, like, just to think that some crazy little company coming out of Japan is building the motors for Nismo, building the motors for Team Orange, building a car that Tarzan Yamada's driving in Australia. Like, just insane. Absolutely insane. I really, really hope that they can still keep the passion going. After losing such a prominent figure in their company, literally the person who started what they are at now, and push for it all.
Yeah, hopefully they keep the spirit of what JUN Auto was about, you know, passing down the knowledge through each of the craftsmen, as they said, you know, and yeah, continuing their, you know, I guess, pioneering in, you know, aftermarket parts and development, because yeah, like some of the shit they do is amazing. This is ridiculous.
So do you want to talk about a bit?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's finish covering JUN before we move on to anything else.
Yeah, because I had a question about hi to everyone, essentially. And Benki has said, what's your favorite JUN car? My favorite JUN car is the Synergy V8 BRZ that they built for the 2016 or 2017 Tokyo Auto Salon. That thing is amazing. I wish I could have a chance to see that in person. It just sounds ridiculous. But yes, they have actually been in a game. Dirt 3 had the JUN Evo 10 as a time attack car and a Gymkhana car. So if you want to play with any of theirs, go get Dirt 3.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's about it towards JUN. Yeah.
What was your favorite?
I really liked the 350Z that they built. That was pretty damn awesome and pretty crazy for its time too. But I think the one that's always going to stand out for me is the Z31 in 1991. Like that just blows my mind. Like, and it blows my mind even more that it was sold recently as a freaking street car. So, yeah, what I'd do to have that. Yeah. So I think that's about covers it for JUN anyway. But I do want to do some more shops in Japan and do history things like this where we do look into it, because there are some awesome shops in Japan that just aren't going to get covered in history unless someone does it. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd love to be able to get some more people on from these shops, but with the language barrier, it's just pretty much near impossible at this stage. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah, good. Learn Japanese, please. I don't have time to. But I guess, yeah, in light of that, let's talk about some shops that probably don't get much attention, but, you know, I guess you should probably go and try and see soon, because the owners are getting older, and some of these smaller shops haven't been as successful as JUN, and they won't be able to keep, I guess, their legacy going as long as JUN will obviously go in the future, because JUN is making stuff for Nismo, Mitsubishi, everybody. They've got their hands in everything. But, you know, smaller shops like Tech Art, Kids Heart is a very good example. A few other shops I have written down here. Motorfix, Valeside. They used to do a lot, and they are nowhere anymore. So, as you've actually had the pleasure of going to Tech Art, you want to have a bit of a chat about that, because
yeah, Tech Arts is a hoarder's dream.
Not wrong.
Especially if that said hoarder is into A86s, because it is just a whole heap of A86 parts that they won't sell to me. I could literally see what I wanted on the shelf, and they're like, no. Ah. So no, they just won't sell. I think it's because they know that the parts are getting rarer and harder to find, and they don't want to have the issues of having to find that part if they ever need it. But the attention to detail at Tech Arts is insane, absolutely insane. And just being able to see Sashia's car there as well. And as well their purple drift car A86 with the it's the N2 motor, I'm pretty sure, is in that one from my memory. I've asked them about it last time I was there, but I can't really remember. Some other ones that come to my mind that I've visited. Now let me just think. You go.
Yeah, so I mean, like, shops like Tech Arts, they've done a lot of work, building 7 ages, and a lot of their specialities 4 ages. So I guess, as 4 ages become less and less popular, they're going to sort of see the same fate as Kids Heart, because there isn't... Let's bring up Kids Heart. They haven't been able to stay with stay relevant to what, the car scene in Japan needs. And it's really, really sad, because Kids Heart used to come up with some really, really awesome drift cars. Namely, Tezuka's JZX81, which was amazing drift car. It was super cool, and it saddens me greatly to see that thing as a bare shell now, and sad to see their shop go from something that was so amazing and so full of life. They had a RC car track there, they had their own workshop on site, to going into very recently. When did you go there? 16 or 17? 14? True. It was dead in 2004. There was a blog post from Juicebox for You, which was also early 2013 or something, and they were saying it was dying back then. They were just hanging on with what they had left, doing servicing on little cars and whatnot else. They had one drift car out the back, and it's sad, because there's a lot of knowledge and information there that will now be lost to, I guess, the Japanese internet and the owner of it, because we can't get access to it. And it just makes me really sad, I guess, see such a cool company go downhill that fast. So, go to Japan and go do tourist things and see things while they're still there.
Just go visit the shops. They're not going to be around forever. I went to 46 Customs, Kyoto, which is Rocket Bunny. And I had the pleasure of sitting down with Kimura for, I would say, 2 hours. And honestly, he's probably the smartest person I've ever met. And he's probably the most chain smoker I've ever met. That dude ain't gonna last much longer. Like, it was literally before he finished the other one was lit up. The next one was lit up. So, and he actually had a stroke about 6 months before I went there from stress of trying to get to SEMA. This is like height peak Rocket Bunny as well. But the dude is mental. He works until midnight, 1 a.m., 7 days a week, or at least was then. And he just sits there designing stuff on CAD. He worked with the Kyoto University to design the program and modify the program to be able to take the imaging of the cars like he does to model in the 3D modeling program, all his stuff. He has just multiple CNC machines out the back, and the whole shed is just filled of styrofoam, like just everywhere, because he just cuts it all out of styrofoam on the CNC machine and puts it up to the car to see if it fits. And basically, and then when I was there, I met his apprentice, and they're out the front on his FT86, but it's the American one. It's a Scion import, so left-hand drive, and they're out there with the little like sanding, belt sander, the like handheld one.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're there in the coilovers, just trying to make the coilover hole wider so that they can get more camber. And he's like, "Oh, camber." I'm like, "You guys are fucking mental. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" Like, he's like, "Oh, it needs to be further in." Like, this car is like 30 mil off the ground at the most, like static too. And yeah, just dudes who are really into it, you know. Like it's their life. He was telling me about how his first car was an A86, and then he grew up street racing on the Kanjo circuit, the loop line in Osaka, and he still has his Freddy mask that he used to wear because in Japan they can't see your face in a speeding ticket. They can't fine you, so they can't prove it was you who was driving the car at the time. And his 4.6 Customs and Pandem and all that started from back then. You know, and he has 2 daughters, and they're both married, and they hate cars, and their husbands have nothing to do with cars. So this is a company of 5 people at the most. And it's 3 people that work at the actual main shop. The other 2 people they kind of like subcontract, and they do the body, like the actual fiberglass panels. They don't do their design. They do their designing in house, and then they get the company nearby to do the actual FRP part of it. And just crazy to think that, you know, like him and his wife, once they're gone, it's just this apprentice left doing it. That's it. The kids don't want anything to do with it. And I tried asking him, I'm like, why? Because I just couldn't get it through my head, like why they just wouldn't be interested in it. And all he could say was just that Japanese young generation, like they are in Australia, are just lazy as fuck. They just want to work at 7-Eleven part-time and play video games. That's all they want to do. That was literally his words. He's like, when I was that age, he's like, I dropped out of school. I think he dropped out of school in like our year 7. And yeah, there you go, guys. You don't need to fucking finish school to be successful. You just have to be fucking better. Yeah. But yeah, and he was driving dozers. That was his job. It was just forestry, driving dozers, and that's how he got his money. And just of an afternoon and night, he would just race Civics on the fucking loop line. That was his life, you know. And he just built a business by like he made some aero parts for his Civic, and his friends wanted some, and then their friends wanted some, and that's how the business started, you know. Like but not everyone's that lucky that they catch on internationally and get so popular so quickly. But you know, he's done some amazing work. Whether you like the Rocket Bunny style or not, you cannot deny the crazy level of detail and amount of work that, and from a 3-person business, you know, like it's practically a 1-man show with the apprentice learning the ropes. Like, that's insane. It's just insane. Yeah, you can talk about a bit of history about Top Secret.
Well, yeah, we'll move on to that in a second. But funny enough, you mentioned Mr. Mura and Kanjo Racing. There is a shop that is about 10 minutes down the road from Rocket Bunny. Oh, he used to be. I'm not sure if it was down. Old post reading up. His mate also runs a shop that does paint and panel called Rosebud. I can't pronounce the Japanese name, so I'm not going to try. It's way too difficult. But he has had some very prominent drift cars over the years. Probably 2 of the famous ones being the one Via that has normal headlights in it somehow. It's really weird, really cool. has bolt-on flares, and then he also did a bright pink red one Via that was like air quotation like USDM style out of Japan. They actually imported a 240 for it. It was really cool. Super high attention to detail, but they used to drive the Kanjo loop together way back when, and that's how they sort of got into the businesses that they are now. So, doing that sort of stuff. And he still does it today. He still does custom aero, custom paint, more on like minivans at this point, is, you know, the drifting side of things started to die out. But I think that was really cool how, like, even in Japan, it's all like interconnected. Rad.
Another cool shop that I visited when I was near Kyoto is Phoenix's Power. They just build GDRs. That's all they do, from right down to early GDRs to R35 GDRs. They're a relatively unknown shop that does a lot of cool shit. They're big in Japan. I was on TV when I went there because I happened to be filming a news segment about the company. I don't know what they did at the time, but they got on the news. And fortunately, the news presenter spoke English. He lived in America. He was a MMA fighter. And I'm pretty sure I've told this story before.
I think we talked about it with the episode. Thank you.
But it's still cool, you know, that this company is just a little GDR company in Kyoto that makes the news in Japan, you know, like, and the owners were awesome, you know, super friendly. Their work was top notch. Those cars were insane, like, attention to detail, insane. They had full dynos in-house, Motec ECU support, the lot, you know, like, these guys were crazy big money. But, you know, there's just another cool shop that most people have probably never even heard of that just does cool shit, you know. Yeah, but that's like, I've been to HKS factory at the base of Mount Fuji, and I had the very, very rare opportunity of being able to go through a tour of the museum on site. The site isn't actually allowed visitors, but I had the rare opportunity of being able to go to that. The only other people I've ever seen in the Western world that have gone to that is Speed Hunters. So if you look up Speed Hunters HKS Museum, you'll be able to see the photos from that. But that was insane. Just the stuff that HKS does. Like, they build airplane engines, or at least built, you know, like, just crazy stuff that they have just sitting in that museum. And I got a full English tour. So, like, crazy. Yeah, but it's the personal museum of the CEO of HKS. It's probably just literally all this shit. He just stores in the upper level of HKS.
I found a way to store these free in a museum.
Yeah, but I mean, HKS started out, if many people don't know, HKS started out as designing the turbo kits for S30s. That's what they did. They saw, they had people coming up. I think they started doing like exhaust and turbo kits, but they got famous from the turbo kits because people wanted to race up Mount Fuji, and they were the little shop at the bottom, and they decided, let's just make turbo kits for S30s because they're the cool car in at the moment, you know, and because they were brand new at the time, and that's what got HKS famous in cars wise. But they didn't start, like, they weren't really doing cars until then. HKS is massive now. That is a massive company in Thailand, China, everywhere, USA, a lot. Like, yeah. And they do collaborate with JUN as well. So yeah, it's on the list. Like, they probably do a lot of the machine work together for certain things, but like HKS's machine factories and stuff are just insane. But they have like the original site of HKS is where they make the exhaust, and that is still here today. So they still keep their roots. So, but their factory, it's massive, absolutely massive. I think there's like 8 different factories in the one complex. They make the turbos there. They tune the diesel trucks there. They build everything in-house. It's just insane. That place is absolutely insane. They wouldn't let me go for a major tour through the factories and stuff like that, but yeah, that would just be insane to go see. Yeah, crazy. So, yeah. Go on the next one that was featured by Jun, which was let's wrap it up with Top Secret, I reckon, and that should blow a few people's minds.
Oh yeah. Well, quickly before we go into that, a shop that's disappeared, but they've resurfaced. Yes, I read a blog post on it was Speed Hunters. I'm not sure. Just search Rocky Auto 2018, 2019, and hopefully it pops up. He's got a ginormous shed, and he's squeezed everything into it. Like it's literally. Yes, I sent it in the chat with you. It was like literally Tetris with S30s, Ken Marys, Hakuskas, and everything. It's ridiculous. He's got like 2 stories in it. There's parts everywhere. It's super cool to see him pop back up because man, he made some cool stuff. As much as a purist as you can be, some of the stuff he's built is insane. Like insane.
Some things that people might not know about Rocky Auto is, and they might not even know about Nissan and R32 GDRs, is that there was R32 GDRs that were made that were NA. 4-doors were they? So they were RB26 NA D.
But this came with ITs.
Yes. And you know what? They sold for not much on the second-hand market. So what did Rocky Auto do? They bought them all, scrapped the shells, sat them in piles on top of each other at their old building, pulled the motors out and put them in S30s. That was what they did. That's what got Rocky Auto famous.
Yeah, and that is literally why you can't buy any more of those GTS 4 GDRs because they're just... Rocky Auto has them all. He has all the engines and he scrapped the cars and... Yeah, actually. Although they did something cool with the interiors on a couple of cars. They did an interior upgrade for your S30, Kenmary, or Hakuska. So you could actually get them to retrofit an entire R32 front like interior assembly into the car. Like full working everything. It's like aircon dock, speedo, tacho, radio, everything. So you'd have like an R32 in an S30 or a Kenmary. That's insane. I hate you.
R32 Dash looks like Commodore VN Dash.
Granted, but they were first. So they Holden copied Nissan.
Chicken or the egg?
Oh, all right. Let's move on from that. Another notable.
Kids Art did do the SIL 80s for.
Yes, I would just mention that.
I thought it was for Ortec.
No, they did them for Nissan. So they made 500 SIL 80s specifically for Nissan. I don't think it was
the one in the initial D is one of the Kids Arts ones. The SIL 80.
It was. Yes, that one.
They were all blue.
They were all blue. And I did think they have a special plate on it. So if you ever ended up with one of those cars, save it, please. Yashio Factory is another one that is owned by a very old dude. What's his name? Oka-chan. He has a lot of cool history in drifting and circuit racing. As you watch a lot of the Option Gunsai Toge battle videos, you'll see him pop up a million times. He's built a lot of circuit cars and a lot of drift cars. Does drifting himself. He's a rad dude. Yeah. Just old shop that's gonna disappear. BR.
BR.
Yeah, that is another cool shop. In My Son is getting very old now and scary.
Every person I've heard who goes to that shop fucking loves it. It is like, they reckon it's the best shop to visit in Japan. So
that's because In My Son is such a character. This is like, if you go watch the Driftworks Outsiders movie, just go watch his interview, and he is just the funniest guy. They're like, "Why'd you name it BR?" And he just like holds up a beer can. He's like, "I like beer." Like, how can you not like him? He's such a good dude. He's made some very unique cars over his time, the 32.4 being one of the main ones that Tezuka drove. He also has an amazing AE86, and he also built a very questionable was it an R35 on a 180SX weird creation that just really looked out of place, but it was interesting. But yes, another place to like go and check out and all that. They also came up with a very cool direct throttle system, which, in their words, fixed the delay of your fly-by-wire throttle because a lot of people in 110s and 100s were complaining about that. So they actually came up with their own cool system with like graphs and everything like that. It's really rad. Go check it out on their website. Now, the best thing I found out while I was researching for this episode was Mr. Nagata, how he started. His family had nothing to do with cars. He went and worked as a mechanic for Toyota in his local prefecture, and then kind of got the bug for building cars. So he moved in and started working for Trust. Yeah, Freddy Trust, how you want to call it. And after that, he started building things after hours without permission. So he'd just stay behind in the workshop after it was all closed, and he'd hide up the back and start making different turbo creations and little bits and bobs. And he got essentially caught, but instead of Top Secret losing it over it, not Top Secret, Trust, getting all pissed off about it, they actually said, you know what, keep doing it, but you need to keep this top secret. Later on, when he moved and started his own company, that later became his name, Top Secret, and therefore like created a lot of very, very fast cars and did a lot of illegal things, and therefore he's a badass. Go check his shop out. He has a very strict list of companies that he will work with, which I found on a website somewhere. I can't remember it anymore, but HKS, JUN, Tomei, Trust, obviously. But yes, they've come up with some super cool stuff, but he is a very old dude now, and I have no idea who will continue that business after he is gone, but go and check it out while you still can, because, you know, it's an awesome shop. I've seen some photos. I'd love to go.
That shop is a crazy part of Japanese history with drift cars. Oh, not drift cars, sorry, top speed cars. Yeah, one cars.
You know, the SR 2.2 S15 was a very famous car in D1. Very cool looking, the like gold vinyl and everything like that. They also had the one. He made like 3.
Because they went to they brought it to the UK. Have you seen the video of him going?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. So he shipped this Supra to the UK. I think it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, and while it was raining, clocked like 300 and something k's an hour. Got pulled over, arrested, literally kicked out of the country. The guys were just like, you know what, just get out, don't come back. They sent his car back over to Japan and were like, this is it, you're not allowed to come back. But I think that is probably the most gangster story. It's like, hey, I've got a tuning shop, I want to prove how fast my car is, I'm going to ship it to England.
Like, why? Because I can. Because I'm not enough of a badass here. I fucking want to be a badass in fucking UK too. Fuck it. But he looked old then, man.
Dude, he was like very old back then. Like, you look at that video and he is at least in his like late 40s.
Yeah.
At least, you know. And then you see him nowadays and he's like this little old Japanese dude's like cruising. He's like gets in this like demo car, just cruises down the street. You're like, that's probably got 1,000 horsepower and he's got a very heavy foot. No. But yeah, a big part in Japanese tuning history, because they've also, like JUN, had their hands in everything, and they were one of the first companies to try and work with the VR38, which was out of the R35, which Nissan was like, no one will ever be able to tune this and blah blah blah, and then they had something on the shelf, but like less than a year later. So Top Secret also has some very high development for new cars as well, because we're a step ahead of everyone. They knew that the VQ and V6s were going to be our big part of the future car industry, so they started working on those a lot earlier than everyone else did. Therefore, Top Secret have quite a few products based for 350, 370s, and the R35 now.
So, some other just shops of note that if you're going to Japan and you're thinking of visiting, is like Rasty, Powerhouse Amuse, Tom's even, I think, would probably be worthwhile visiting. BN Sports, you've got Run Free, you've got Motorfix, you've got Tube Garage.
That's a very cool shop. I wanted to find out a bit more about it, but I couldn't. I literally spent the whole day looking for just Motorfix stuff, and I could only find blog entry posts. And yeah, that was about it. Like, super cool shop. They've got a bit of everything. lot of Corollas. But yeah, like definitely one shop that you should make note of and try and go to.
There's definitely a lot of shops in Japan, and it's gonna be really sad when, you know, they could be gone in the next 10 to 15 years. You know, if there's no one to take over, then they'll be gone. You know, or if they're just not even making enough money anymore with the way that Japanese kids are going, where they don't even want to have a license, they don't care about cars. It's just, you know, even look at D1. Most of the people who have been in D1 have been in D1 for the last 30 years. Like, and the interesting thing about D1, when you compare it to Formula Drift, is the drivers in D1 own the shops. They're not drivers. They're shop owners. That's nuts. You know, like when you compare that to Formula Drift or IDC or whatever, they're yeah.
If you're ever in Japan, go look up Heyman, because Shinji Minoa is an absolute rad dude. Please go and support him. He's like making a big comeback, and I want him to do good. He's my hero. Go check his old A86 drifting videos out. I'll post one on the podcast this week. Dude's a badass. Comes up with some awesome products, so go check him out.
Yeah. You got a JZX. So yeah. I mean, and as well, like some other companies that have even made it big, you know, is Raw Welt. But I mean, he started off at A86s. So yeah, you know, there's a lot of cool companies to go visit. They're not going to be around forever. Go give them a visit. Go bring a memento from Australia. You know, bring over some Tim Tams and shit like that. You know, all for if you're from a different country, bring something over. If you're from New Zealand, you know, bring some wool. I don't know what else they have there, but but yeah, sorry guys. But anyway, you get the drift. Pun. But yeah, visit some of these old shops. They're not going to be around forever. They deserve our support. Get some mementos. You know, help support them as much as you can. You know, they're worth supporting. I really feel for those dudes. So, and yeah, it's definitely sad to see Junichi Tanaka gone. That's one big hero for Japanese sports cars. You know, fast sports cars. So hopefully they still continue on, and yeah, we'll just see how it all goes. But that's all about I've got to say for it. What about you?
Yeah, definitely go and support the shop owners. I mean, even some of the D1 drivers, man, like that have shops. You know, like Ueno has Vertex and T&E Co. And all that. You look at them from when you remember them as your memories of it, and where you watch all your D1 videos, and then you go watch a recent video, and you realize that, you know, your heroes are getting older, so you're running out of time to go and see them. You know, after recently losing a very close family member, you know, don't make excuses. Go and do it, because you won't have forever, and you'll sit there going like, why didn't you? You know, go meet Tsuchiya. Please, if you want to see Tsuchiya, go see him, because dude's getting old, man. Hizama, that's it. You know, another dude who's also getting very old. Is an awesome guy, still out there drifting. If you watched the latest Noriaro video, you would have seen him in NS15, which is like everything stock. I just put a lot of boost into it. It's like, goes good. Yeah, it is like stock 6-speed. I was like, it's fun.
But yeah, if you are stuck, say you're in Japan, you do have an iPhone. I originally built an app called JDM Maps. I don't own the app anymore, but it is still available, and it is getting an update, so far as I'm aware, to come to Android hopefully this year. So that can help you if you're trying to find these companies, because yes, they are hard to find, and you don't know what's around you when you're over there. It's not much of a plug considering I don't own the app anymore, but I do think it's still worthwhile if you're over there, because you could go and visit a shop, and just 500 meters away is another one, you know, that you could go and visit to on the same day. or it helps you plan a trip as well. So yeah, if you are over there, probably just give it a go, and yeah. Other than that, I think that about wraps it all up. So,
yeah, just get out there, go and do it. Don't make excuses. You won't have forever, and the sooner you go, the more enjoyable it'll be, essentially.
And you'll have the stories to tell your kids. I've been like, man, I met Smokey Nagata.
What a story, though.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for that. And yeah, thanks for putting up with just our single microphone for this episode. And we'll endeavor to be better. That'll be our new motto.
Just need to be better.
All right, guys. Thanks for that.
For listening.
Yeah. See you next fortnight.